So Status Quo are digging deep into their vaults and collating all this wonderful, wonderful material. Let's take a look, shall we? Welcome, classic rock fans, to an unboxing and short review of the new Status Quo box set, the early years 1966 to 69. If you're a fan of unboxing and reviews of stuff prior to its official release, do make sure you click that notification bell, click like, subscribe, and share this video if you enjoy it. And if you're interested in this wonderful item, and why wouldn't you be? This is released on the 15th of March, and I will of course put a purchasing link just below this video. What's interesting about this set is it brings together all that psychedelic pop that they were certainly famed for with the debut album. Picturesque, matchstickable messages from Status Quo. It also includes spare parts as well, which did feel like a bit of an off-cut, to be honest with you. It's also got the albums in mono and stereo, whatever your poison is. Doesn't say anything about the remastering of these, but they certainly the recordings sound brighter and clearer than the previous versions. This early Quo stuff is just fantastic. They hadn't discovered that consistent chug that defined the material in the 70s, what John Lydon described as that glorious push and pull. He was a big fan, by the way. Some wonderful covers on here as well, including a Donovan number, I believe. The great interview sections with Francis Rossi and Alan Lancaster from way, way back in the day. I love the version of Pictures of Matchstick Men on the BBC sessions. There's two versions on there. I just love these live renderings of these numbers. The highlight of all these discs, to be honest with you, get CD1 is the original mono albums and CD2 is the stereo albums. CD3 is before Status Quo, which is a fascinating listen. You get lots of stuff from the Spectres and Traffic Jam, even some sort of BBC sessions before they were Quo. A-sides, B-sides, demos and outtakes. But for me, the highlight of this set, without a doubt, is the BBC session 68 to 69. Some great stuff on, including interviews. I said I love the two versions of Pictures of Matchstick Men that you get on here. Black Veils of Melancholy, and wonderful versions of Things Get Better and Spicks and Specks, which I'm pretty sure was a Bee Gees number, I think. So you get this quite robust clamshell box. There's the rear. Spine. These discs are not in order because I was listening to them yesterday. First one is Status Quo A-sides, B-sides, demos and outtakes. This is fabulous, especially the alternate version of Pictures of Matchstick Men. And I particularly like the Price of Love and To Be Free on here, which is quite interesting. That's the sleeve. That's the rear. And the disc. So that's disc 4 actually, sorry they're not in order. Status Quo, A-sides, B-sides, demos and outtakes. Then you get Status Quo, the BBC session 68 to 69, my favourite disc in this set. Disc 5. That's the rear. And there's the disc. As I said, the highlights on here for me are the two versions of Pictures of Matchstick Men, Spicks and Specks, and the wonderful version of the Black Veils of Melancholy. My word, it was the 60s, wasn't it? So that's the BBC sessions. Disc 3 is a fascinating listen as well. This is before Status Quo. So that's the stuff as the Spectres and of course as Traffic Jam. That's the rear. And the disc. Disc 2 is the stereo albums. The stereo albums being picturesque, matchstickable messages from the Status Quo, and of course spare parts. That's the rear. And the disc itself. And this is exactly the same as I've just said, but the mono versions of the albums. I prefer the stereo versions, although the stereo mixes at this time tended to be an afterthought. Most of the attention was actually put into the mono mixes, so it's interesting to hear those mixes as well. That's the disc. Certainly one of the highlights of this set is the wonderful booklet that you get with it. I mean, I love the fact when there's loads of attention to detail in terms of flyers, tickets, posters, vintage photographs, as well as lots and lots of information. I haven't sold a short here either. This is a great little set. Let's go through it together. Lots and lots of information. Brilliant pictures as well. I don't know if you're interested, but I will be speaking to Francis Rossi, I think, next week, Monday, and we will be discussing Status Quo around about this time and the release of this set. Loads and loads of information there. Spare parts. I don't know the story of the Spare Parts album, but most people feel it's a kind of a dip after the first album. It's just all the track listing on each disc. Brilliant picture. So there you go, that's an unboxing and a closer look at Status Quo, the early years, 66 to 69. Do get your orders in straight away. I think it's definitely worth having, well, especially if you're a Status Quo fan. I'm a fan of all that trippy shit, which I certainly am. Anyway, I'll leave you with, thank you for watching. Please share this video if you know anyone who's going to be interested in it. Check some of the links below the video for ways you can support the sterling work done at the channel. Become a Patreon, why not? There's a fine body of work on there now. Otherwise, click like, subscribe and check that notification bell, as in the words of Steven Tyler, so you don't miss a thing. And other than that, I'll just leave you with my closing salvo, which is hope you're well, staying safe, that you keep listening.